The story goes that Richard Gallagher, who founded the company, was interested in leatherwork, and he was working basically out of his living room. And a Chicago area police officer knocked on his door and said, "Hey, I hear you work with leather. Could you make me a holster?" So this was what kind of launched what became the famous Jackass Leather Company.
I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by T-Sauce, EOTech, Kimber, Hodgdon, and NRA ARC. Hey, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, we're talking with an industry veteran, a guy who is a shooter, knowledgeable, and as Chris Serino described him earlier, has a lot of heart and a lot of brain. I mean, he's a Renaissance man. And we're going to talk holsters and everything behind a company you know, Galco. Mike, welcome in, man.
Good to be here.
Dude,
thank you.
Thanks for coming back. You're here for one of our experience classes, the Colt event.
Yeah. Well, I had a great time at the Python experience that you did last year with the AFR guys. Actually learned a tremendous amount about revolver shooting. And the opportunity for this came up thanks to you. And we're back, and I'm excited.
It's awesome. So we've known each other for a long time, and I've been at gun sight with you on numerous occasions.
Yep.
I mean, how long have you been with Galco?
I started with Galco in 2003, so
a while.
22 years. Yeah,
that's a long time to be anywhere.
It's been a minute, and I moved out to Arizona from Connecticut, which, as I tell everybody, is a nice place to be from.
Yeah.
And didn't really have a job lined up. I had been working in the shooting industry back in Connecticut for Traditions Performance Firearms, and moved to Arizona without anything lined up. Knocked on the door at Galco. They hired me as a CSR, and just kind of worked my way up since then. And now I'm the media and PR manager.
So you wanted to stay in the gun world?
Absolutely. I love the gun world. I love people. I've been interested in guns since I bought my first copy of, I think, Guns and Ammo back when I was about 12 years old.
Yep.
And I can still picture the cover of that magazine. It had an AMT auto mag on it.
Awesome.
And just been interested in guns ever since. My father was a police officer and a National Guard officer. And so I just kind of grew up around guns, and the bug bit me early, and it just has never let go.
I love that. Yeah, I love, because I mean, obviously people know I grew up in this world of guns, but I mean, getting gun digests in where they've got the lists of all of the guns and all of the cartridges and all of the calibers and all this stuff, and reading the ballistics charts. And it's funny looking back on that. That was like a strange thing for a 13-year-old dude to be doing, perhaps, but I was like so into it.
Yeah, me too. You know, you're supposed to be reading Sports Illustrated or, whatever when you're that age, or, other magazines. But yeah, I was reading, like you said, Gun Digest, Guns and Ammo, American Handgunner, Combat Handguns, all that growing up.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm old enough that this was before the internet, so we were reading dead tree publications,
we would flip the pages,
flipping them over, and
the whole deal.
Waiting for that first week of the month for the new magazines to come out, and running down to the convenience store to buy them, and all that. And that's I had a trunk full of gun magazines that I would just pour over.
I just thought of this. Do you think that a 12 or 13-year-old kid would have a hard time buying a gun magazine? Like if you walked into a Barnes & Noble today with your own money by yourself.
Not where I live.
Yeah.
I live in the reddest county of Arizona.
Which is already a pretty red state.
Well, it's gotten a little purplish lately, unfortunately. But I'm in a very red county, Yavapai County. And it wouldn't be a problem there. But if I went back to Connecticut, if you could find a gun magazine on the shooting on the newsstand.
True.
Yeah. Maybe that would be a problem.
I'll tell you a funny story. So my dad and my grandfather wrote for all these magazines. And occasionally when we were in like a grocery store and walked by the magazine section, we'd stop and look, and my dad would grab the magazine he was writing for at the time and grab the whole stack of them and move them to the front in front of other magazines and then just walk away.
I love that. I love that. That's good marketing.
Yeah.
That's good marketing.
That's guerrilla marketing right there.
It is. Absolutely.
One grocery store at a time.
Yeah. I'll have to start doing that with my book if it ever appears in a store.
Yeah. Yeah, we should, you know what? Let's do it. Let's give a plug for your book. You're also an author, which I think most people go, damn, writing a book is a crazy idea, and for someone to do that.
Yeah. So the way that came about, my book's called Many Are Called, The Lion of Deseret. And like many things, it came out of COVID and the pandemic.
Oh, sure.
I was kind of bored, working from home, largely for Galco, and just had some extra time on my hands. And at the time, my wife and I were living in downtown Phoenix.
Okay.
And we would go out for walks and things like that. And there were like 3 restaurants open that we could go to, masked up and all that.
Sit on the street.
Yeah, exactly. Waiting for takeout. You could have a beer while you were waiting for takeout. But we would walk around, and this previously bustling metropolis was just apocalyptically empty. Mm-hmm. No one around. Just she and I walking down.
Surreal. I mean, we all had those surreal moments.
Yeah. And so I started thinking, well, what if this were really an apocalypse? What would this city look like? And so I thought about that a little bit. I started writing a couple little short stories, and which I've always been interested in fiction writing, just never really delved into it very deeply. But then I got to thinking, well, who would be the people best equipped to survive and maybe even thrive in a post-apocalyptic environment? And I thought, well, Latter-day Saints, Mormons.
Okay.
Because their church commands them to keep a year's supply of food on hand, for example. Most of the Latter-day Saint men I know are quite well armed. And the church has a sort of hierarchical command structure already. And it could, in theory, function as a replacement for a non-existent secular government. And so once I had the apocalypse and the people who might survive it, I started writing a short story about that. And that short story was good enough that I kept writing it. And I kept writing it.
It became
and eventually
not a short story.
I had a 378-page novel.
This is a long-ass short story,
yeah,
man.
so it's a long story now. And I was very blessed in that I was on X, Twitter, and a relatively small religious publisher put out a call for manuscripts. Said I'm gonna publish 3 manuscripts in 2025. Send me what you have. And so I, not thinking much of it, because you read stories of people who've been rejected 40, 80 times with their first novel. I sent it to 40 North Press and didn't think much more about it after I sent it. And then 3 weeks later, I'm at the park with my wife and my granddaughter, pushing the granddaughter on the swings. And my phone buzzes, and it's the publisher. And he says, I've only read 100 pages of your book, but I love it and I want to publish it.
Wow.
Right out of the gate like that. I mean, it was shocking.
First book.
It was a great day.
Jeez, that's crazy.
And and so the book came out in April of this year, and sales have been good enough that I am the best-selling author at the publisher.
Wow.
40 North Press. And I guess we'll find out when I get my first royalty check how many copies we've actually sold.
Yeah, you kind of just put it out there into the ether and you just go, I don't know.
And the publisher handles a lot of the marketing, although I've been lucky. I've done, I did a book launch party in Prescott, Arizona. Gunsight Academy was good enough to let me do a signing out there at their alumni shoot that went absolutely great. And I was just invited to sit on an author panel for veterans who are writers.
Oh, wow.
And
cool.
And so that was just last Monday, and that went great as well. So yeah, overall, it's been awesome. That's probably more than you wanted to know about my
No,
my
I
novel.
love it. So, but people, if they want to pick it up, if they want to check it out, they can do that.
Yeah,
Wherever books are sold, I guess.
it's you can get it on Amazon. It's called Many Are Called, The Lion of Deseret, and it's on Amazon, like I said, or you can order it through the publisher. 40 North Press is an imprint of a company called Nauvoo Supply Company, Nauvoo.supply.
Okay.
And that's the publisher, and you can get it from there as well. And I will say you will get a higher quality book if you order it from the publisher than Amazon, because Amazon does print on demand, and the quality is frankly a little uneven. So if you want a nice quality book, get it from the publisher.
That's a good pro tip. Yeah. My dad and my grandfather have written a few books, and then they had their own publishing company, Cane River Publishing. They put out a few under that. And my dad would tell you, people would say, oh, how do you sell books? I mean, that's neat. You write books, and how do you sell them? He said, well, any way you can.
That's absolutely right.
Any way you can think of.
Take every opportunity that comes your way, and talk about your book.
Yeah.
I have promotional materials made up. I gave you a bookmark.
Yeah, it's nice.
So look at the side with the cover, not the side with me on it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But so just take the opportunities as they come. The gun sight thing came up, and I jumped on that, and it worked out great.
Well, and so you're a PR and marketing guy, so you can put that into what you do. But I mean, you've been the PR marketing for Galco for quite a while now.
Yeah. I took over. Well, originally they called my position media liaison, and that was 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And and like I said, I had started as a CSR and just kind of worked my way up. And there was the opening came for they needed somebody to talk to people like yourself, and somebody obviously with a lot of patience. And so I raised my hand and I started going around to shooting events and SHOT Show and NRA Show and all that stuff, dealing with writers on journalists on a regular basis and all that.
It takes patience to deal with us.
It does. It really does.
Well, and you also talk to the public. You come from, like you said, you started in customer service.
That's the other half
which
of
is
my
like
job.
Probably, I mean, wouldn't you say in any company it's a great place to start because you learn everything about the product. You hear what the end user, the customer likes, hates, what they're confused about, all that.
That's 100% right. And at Galco, we actually, I don't want to say force is the wrong word, but everybody is strongly encouraged to spend time in the customer service office talking to customers. Sure. And that, even if somebody's coming on as, say, the buyer, they'll still work in customer service, for some time, just to get a feel, like you said, for the experience of the end user and to learn the product line in and out. And that's really, really an important thing to Galco especially. We have 80 different concealed carry holsters, and you need to be able to inform somebody, discuss all those things.
Holster companies are I always feel a little bit bad for holster companies because the SKU number is pretty wild when you think about it's left-handed, right-handed, inside
different
the waistband,
colors,
outside the waistband,
different gun fits,
different gun models.
Last time I looked, we had over 3,000 SKUs. Yeah,
it's
last
crazy.
time I looked. Yeah, it's a huge amount to keep track of. And it's easy for me, but the people who have to do inventory control and plan production and things like that, man, glad I don't have to do that.
Well, Galco is I kind of consider you guys one of the OG original big holster companies out there. There's a great story behind it, and we're going to talk about that right after the break. TSOS double-stack 1911 pistols bring expanded capacity and modern features to a classic platform built on forged high-capacity frames and chambered in 9mm. These pistols are designed for shooters who want the feel of a 1911 with more rounds on tap. At SDS Arms, they carry all TSOS double-stack models, the 1911 Duty DS, Carry DS, and Night Stalker DS. Each model features modern machining, enhanced ergonomics, and high-capacity performance at a price that puts custom-style features within reach. TSOS double-stack 1911 pistols. EOTech brought out the smallest 3-9 rifle scope I've ever seen, the super short Voodoo 3-9 by 32 rifle scope. Aircraft-grade aluminum, lightweight, durable, measuring just 6.8 inches. Fog, water, and shock resistant. Capped quarter MOA turrets. Second focal plane design. It has an illuminated reticle with 10 brightness settings, and it also has an integrated base compatible with many ACOG mounts, so really easy to mount up and start shooting. The super short Voodoo 3-9 rifle scope from EOTech. Own an AR? Then it's time to really learn what it can do. The NRA's America's Rifle Challenge, or ARC, is the ultimate way to train and test your skills and compete safely with your AR-style rifle. Whether you're a new owner or a seasoned pro, ARC offers progressive training and fun. Action-filled matches from 10 yards to 400. Rimfire, PCC, and suppressors are welcome. It's time to get out of the booth or off the sighting bench and pressure test yourself and your setup in competition. Find an event or start your own at arc.nra.org. That's arc.nra.org. And if you're a gun club, reach out to host an ARC event at your range. The 2026 Winter Sectionals are fast approaching. NRA ARC. All right, Mike. You were given, we have the class here, and I guess we kind of glossed over, we do have this experience class happening with Colt and you guys and Shell-Tech Ammo and Vortex Optics. And so we've got like 20 shooters, and you were given the class a little bit of background on Galco.
Yeah.
And I mean, there probably is a 30-minute version, but if there's a 5-minute version of this, it's pretty interesting because it wasn't always called Galco, and the first big product was a big deal. It became a big deal.
Yeah. So the company started in 1969 back in Chicago, and the story goes that Richard Gallagher, who founded the company, was interested in leatherwork. He was interested in a lot of things. He was a musician, for example, in a top 40 rock band as well.
Really?
Yeah. Speaking of like Renaissance men, right?
Wow.
So very interesting guy. But he was interested in leatherwork, among many other things, and he was working basically out of his living room and stitching things for, it was 1960s. It was kind of the height of the hippie movement.
Yeah.
So he's making leather bracelets and fringe vests and leather pants, for the flower children, I guess. And he's doing this in his living room with a disassembled Harley Davidson over in the other corner because that's one of his other interests. And a Chicago area police officer knocked on his door and said, "Hey, I hear you work with leather. Could you make me a holster?" Mr. Gallagher's, well, I can research it. Come back in a few weeks and I'll see what I can come up with. So at that time, apparently, you could still go into a Chicago area public library and get a book on holsters or books. And so Mr. Gallagher did a bunch of research, came up with the horizontally oriented shoulder holster. This police officer wanted a shoulder holster. Showed it to the cop. The cop absolutely loved the thing. Showed it to his buddies in the Chicago Police Department in that area. And suddenly, Mr. Gallagher had a line of police officers outside his door wanting him to make a shoulder holster.
It's amazing.
So this was what kind of launched what became the famous Jackass Leather Company.
Jackass Leather
Jackass
Company.
Leather.
That was what it was originally called.
Yes, the famous Jackass Leather Company. And that was the original holster.
Wait, was it called The Famous?
Yes.
Oh, I love that. That's great marketing.
Yes.
World's best, world's greatest, world's famous.
It was famous.
World's famous milkshake.
It was at least famous in the Gallagher family at first. So that was the springboard for Jackass to really become a holster company. And that original horizontal shoulder holster was called the Jackass rig. And a little bit later on, in the early 1980s, it started to work its way into Hollywood. It first appeared in a James Caan movie called Thief. Okay. But the big break came with a little TV show called Miami Vice, where it was worn and was kind of what we call a recurring character on the Detective Sonny Crockett character played by Don Johnson. And he wore that rig for 5 years on the biggest cop show on TV at that time, and maybe still the biggest cop show in the history of television, certainly the most influential. And so you really can't ask for better advertising than having your product on the hero of the show, of the most popular cop TV show in history at that time. So that really rocketed Jackass to fame. And it was also right around that time that Mr. Gallagher moved the company from Chicago to Phoenix for a variety of reasons, business climate, gun climate, and physical climate. And just as sort of a side note, the arid desert climate in Phoenix makes holster production a little bit easier because the holsters dry faster.
Okay.
So we can make holsters a little bit more quickly in the dry climate. But in any case, that was when he decided to change the name. And there's a funny little story about the name change, in that he said he really decided he needed to pick something a little more politically correct, because when people would call the company, he'd answer the phone, "Jackass," and people would hang up on him. They thought that he was insulting them.
That's awesome.
So he decided to go with Galco. And, a little bit of inside baseball is that people often think that he named it Galco as Gallagher Company.
Right.
And it's actually not true. It stands for Great American Leather Company.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was assuming it had to do with his name.
Just a little tidbit. If you met Mr. Gallagher, you would realize that his ego is not nearly big enough for him to do something like Gallagher Company. It purely is coincidence. He worked in leather. He wanted it to be called the Great American Leather Company.
Cool.
And that was in like I said, the early 1980s. And it's really just been onward and upward for Galco since then. We've expanded our manufacturing footprint 3 or 4 times since then. We have a full campus in Phoenix, and distribution through dealers, through distributors, consumer direct. So we do a little bit of everything.
And you guys have done a lot of different styles over the years, but best known for your leather. Still.
Yeah. And we have done Kydex and nylon, and we still have some nylon holsters and things like that. But our forte is really premium leather, premium steerhide, horsehide, materials like that. We like to work in natural materials.
I mean, that's got to be a special skill set that you can't just, it takes years to, I would imagine, to get good at something like that.
It does. And Galco, we're really blessed in that we have some employees who've been with us 30, 35, even 40 years, who moved from Chicago to Phoenix with the company. Just absolute artisans and craftsmen. Who we have one, Manuel, who has hand molded at last count over 1.2 million holsters.
No way.
For Galco. Yeah, and you should see this guy's hands. I mean, he could crush your skull with one hand.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But yeah, and that was, I want to say we counted that out like 5 years ago. So he's done many thousands since then. And he runs a whole department of people whose literal job is simply to hand mold holsters. And we have other people whose job is to cut holsters and to burnish holsters and to finish edges and stitch holsters and all the things that go into making a quality holster.
You were telling us about some of the specialized equipment for stitching these holsters.
Yeah, the stitching machines we have are interesting. The best machines we found for stitching thick leather, so holsters, premium belts, things like that, where you may have to punch through 2-3 layers of, say, 7-ounce leather. The best machines for that are those that were made early in the last century. So we have harness stitching machines in Galco that are literally over 100 years old that are still in daily use. Jeez. And these things are so old that when they break, and of course, given their age, they do occasionally break, we have to make the parts in our machine shop to fix them. So we actually have a staff. Yes, we have a staff of machinists even to do things like keep these machines going. Now, the flip side of that is that we have dieless cutting machines that are entirely computerized.
Sure.
They have an eye that will take a hide, overlay shapes of holsters, and then we'll just use automation to cut those shapes out.
The most efficient use of this hide.
It will plot that out, right? You have, X number of square feet of hide.
Wow.
Lay it on the table. The machine looks at the shapes that we need to make that day and just automatically cuts them out. And then, of course, they go on to all that handcrafting that I mentioned, the hand stitching, the hand molding, all those things. But it's an interesting combination of very old world craftsmanship on one side of the building and extremely modern cutting on the other.
Yeah. As far as leather goes, is it mostly cowhide?
Steerhide is what we primarily work in. Yeah, steerhide is thicker, stronger than cowhide. Cowhide is typically a little softer, more pliable. So we work largely in premium steerhide, and we do some with horsehide. Horsehide is harder to work with, it's more expensive, but it makes a great carry holster because it is so non-porous.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really absorb moisture. A good horsehide holster has a probably 20-year service life, maybe more.
Really?
Maybe more. But premium steerhide is a great material as well, also a very long service life. And one thing people don't know about Galco, or it's not widely known, is that we compete for the top 2% of available domestically produced vegetable tan leather. There are only 2 tanneries left in the United States that produce the quality of vegetable tan leather that we need, domestic vegetable tan leather. And there's only 2, largely because the EPA has made regulation so onerous for tanneries that, like I said, only 2 of them survive that produce the quality that we need. And so we have to compete with upholstery companies and high-end women's handbag makers and shoe manufacturers and many, many companies all of whom occupy a premium space, just like we occupy a premium space in the holster business.
That's got to be tricky. I mean, because like a women's handbag could be hundreds of dollars.
Thousands
of dollars. Yeah.
And we have holsters.
I don't know. My wife always tells me it was just $100. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think mine says the same about her shoes. But yeah, we have to compete with all of those companies out there in the marketplace, and that can be difficult.
You have a leather guy, like a leather broker or something?
We have a buyer. His name's Tim.
Okay, yeah. That's
and that is one of his jobs, is to find these hides and negotiate for these hides.
Tim's
and to compete.
Riding around Texas, just talking to ranchers like, hey, what are you going to do with that steer hide?
Well, like I said, there's only 2 of these places. There's one in St. Louis and one in, I want to say, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And those are the only 2 places we can get the leather of the quality we need that is domestically produced.
Sure.
And the domestic production is very important to us because we keep everything made in the USA.
Yeah.
We source things from in the United States, and we do our manufacturing right in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
And we have no intention of ever changing that. In fact, going back to Mr. Gallagher for a minute, he told me he, rather than offshoring or taking manufacturing overseas, he would literally rather close the company.
Wow. Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to get into some questions about holsters that people have.
Absolutely.
You know Hodgdon. They're the gunpowder people. Hodgdon, CFE Black or BLK. It's a spherical propellant. It's designed specifically for the 300 blackout cartridge. It also includes their CFE, their copper fouling eraser ingredient. Top accuracy with less barrel cleaning time. We can all like that. It's also great for other small capacity cartridges like the 6.8 Remington, the 7.62x39 Russian cartridge. Hodgdon, the gunpowder people. Kimber was recently in the office, and one of the guns that stood out that they brought by was the Next Gen. This is a new custom two-tone 1911 from Kimber, and it capitalizes on the tremendous success of their 2K11 and carries over several of those features that enhance that gun. It's got an optics-ready slide. It has the new custom two-tone, provides flexibility to the shooter, looking for a classic design, and it features a lot of these kind of new 21st century features. There's some internal changes that you can't see, but they include a sloped disconnector ramp and a GT trigger. Match-grade performance for discerning enthusiasts. Kimber continues to drive innovation forward with premium upgrades that deliver customized features right out of the box. So Mike, why don't you make a holster for the Nambu?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because, we go to the NRA show or the SHOT Show, and inevitably, somebody will come into the booth or a series of people. Why don't you make a holster for this? And then they'll rattle off this incredibly obscure gun that hasn't been made since 1922.
Yeah.
And, well, sir, the market for that is just kind of small. And, in that time, we could probably make 10 Glock holsters that we could actually sell.
Now, you guys don't do custom, like if the guy says, well, I'll pay you for it, I'll pay you hundreds of dollars. You don't do like one-offs, right?
Well, as somebody once
I don't
told
want to get you in trouble.
No. As somebody once told me, with a sufficient amount of money, anything is possible.
That's right.
So, and we do have a custom shop. Now, our normal custom capabilities are kind of limited. We can make a holster for an oddball barrel length. Let's say you have a K-frame Smith & Wesson with a 7-inch barrel.
Right.
That's that we don't normally make a holster for. Can we make that? Sure. You want a different color? We can do that.
Yeah.
You need a really, really big belt or a really, really tiny belt? We can do that. But basically what we'll do is modify existing designs.
Gotcha.
Now, if you come with enough money.
I got a Desert Eagle with a Surefire X300.
I'm talking Sylvester Stallone money.
Yes.
So
if you're Hollywood.
Yes. So, for example, our custom shop did, if you've ever seen the movie The Expendables 2. In the first Expendables movie, Stallone used a rig that was made by someone in Eastern Europe where they had filmed the movie, and he was incredibly dissatisfied with it. So when they were making Expendables 2, the prop master came to Galco, and we're pretty well known in the Hollywood prop industry for working with them. And we made a completely from scratch custom rig for Stallone to wear in the movie. And we've done that over the years. If you go and watch the old movie Face Off with Nick Cage and John Travolta,
it's great.
Castor Troy's double rig for his 1911s was a Galco holster.
Awesome.
So we can stretch our capabilities like
Woo?
that. That was a John Woo movie. Yeah. So we can stretch our capabilities like that. But in the normal day today, our custom shop is somewhat limited to changes to existing designs rather than a true one-off.
Now, being that you guys are the leather guys, a couple of questions come to mind. First one is, people say, what do I need to do to care for a leather holster?
Yeah, so we get two questions about leather holsters, and it's care and maintenance, and it's break-in. So for care and maintenance of a leather holster, basically you just want to clean and condition it. Just like you'd clean and condition if you had a nice pair of boots, right? You periodically are going to clean and condition your nice leather boots, right? We sell a product called Leather Lotion that you can use for that, but there are good products you can buy over the counter. Lexol, for example, is a good leather cleaner and conditioner. And a lot of that is climate dependent. If you live in a very humid climate like like where we're sitting now, you can get away with cleaning, conditioning, moisturizing your holster, once, twice a year. Where I live in arid Arizona, you definitely want to stay on top of your maintenance a little bit more, even if it's just throwing some leather conditioner on, 3-4 times a year, just to keep it from drying out in that very arid climate.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is just dependent where you live.
Obviously, you guys have done the Kydex thing. You don't do it now, but that's a popular category for holsters. If somebody says, I don't own a leather holster, but it sounds kind of fun, kind of interesting, what do you tell somebody if they said, why would I get a leather holster, or what would be the things that they would notice if they haven't owned one before?
The primary reason to choose a leather holster over a Kydex holster is comfort. A leather holster will conform itself to the shape of your body over time, and I don't mean a long time, I'm not talking years. Wear it daily for a month, and it will start to curve and take on the bend and the shape of your body. Just like if you wear a leather belt for a time, you notice it develops a kind of a curve in it. A holster will do the same thing. It will adapt itself to your body, a leather holster. Whereas Kydex is the shape it's going to be in the beginning and for the rest of all time.
It will not be conforming.
It will not ever shape itself to your body. But a leather holster will do that. And this is particularly comfortable when you're talking about an inside the waistband holster. It will form itself a little bit to your body, but even a belt holster will just take on the curve of your body. And in that way, it really becomes more of a natural part of yourself. It's a natural material that conforms itself to your body.
That's cool.
And just becomes sort of one with you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, thinking about, and I guess you have holsters for different positions of carry and we have, at last count, I think somewhere around 80 different products for concealed and outdoor type carry holsters. And we offer them for, our flagship product is shoulder holsters, going back to that Miami Vice thing we talked about in the original Jackass rig.
But we offer multiple options in belt holsters for behind the hip, on the hip, appendix carry, cross draw, all those things. We do that with inside the waistband holsters as well. And then your more deep concealment options, pocket holsters, ankle holsters, belly bands. We do all those things. For outdoorsmen, we have chest holsters.
Yep.
So we do all those
popular.
things. We've got a finger in all those areas.
And the truth is, if you're a gun guy or gal, you need lots of holster options, right? I mean, and not saying that you need to carry a different way every day,
right?
But like, yeah, there are times when a chest rig is the answer. There's a time when inside or outside the waistband is preferred. I mean, it's nice to have those options.
Absolutely, yeah. We use a phrase that I stole from my friend Masada Youb. He called it a holster wardrobe years ago, and I thought that was a great turn of phrase, and so I stole it from Mass. And you're absolutely right. Depending on the circumstances, how you're dressed, all those things. In the summer, you may use an inside the waistband holster. In the winter, you're wearing bulkier clothing typically, and so you can wear a belt holster that you might find a little bit more comfortable, might be a little faster than your inside the waistband holster, but you can conceal it. You're going out where I live, out in the desert, but out in the woods or anything like that, yeah, a chest holster is great, especially you're backpacking, anything like that. You're fishing, it gets it up clear of your waders and things like that.
Yeah.
So it is good to have options in your holsters. A holster wardrobe.
Holster wardrobe. Now, you were telling me about a trend that you guys are noticing lately as far as, and it kind of follows what we've been seeing is in the world of guns, it's like, the way I've said is it's like people are going back to analog. I mean, all these people are buying vinyl, the people pressing vinyl on records to listen to music, they can't keep it in stock.
Yeah.
We're seeing the same type of thing in guns. We got lever guns are hot.
Yep.
Wheel guns. You said revolvers are crazy right now.
Yeah. So we just pulled sales figures for the last rolling year, and then we went back and pulled from another rolling year before that to look at our revolver sales. And if you had asked me 3 weeks ago before we pulled these numbers, I would have said, revolvers, okay, they're popular with a small group of enthusiasts, so okay, maybe 10% of our sales. I was wrong. 25% of our sales.
A quarter of our sales, that's a big number.
And in what you think of as a sort of semi-auto world, and we are concealed carry largely. I mean, 95% of our business is concealed carry holsters. And to realize that fully 25% of those sales are revolvers, I mean, you talk about the revolver renaissance, right? I mean, just last year you had the guys from American Fighting Revolver out here for the Colt Python experience. The revolver thing has just absolutely taken off again.
And let Mike and I be the help to anyone listening. If you don't have one, we're going to give you permission. You can go ahead and fill that void in your gun collection. And by the way, it's fun to shoot. They're fun to carry. It's just kind of a way to mix it up.
Last year, I bought 13 revolvers.
Oh, yes. You got it bad.
I got inspired out here with Daryl and Brian and the Colt Pythons. And went home and bought a Python.
I love it.
I kept buying.
Hey, anybody listening, you got to get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Those are rookie numbers.
Mike bought 13 revolvers last year.
That's just revolvers. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, I literally had to buy another safe to put my revolvers in.
I love it. All right. Mike, thanks for being with us, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. That's it for us. We'll see you guys next time on Gun Talk Nation.